Welcome back right here in the heart of the River Bend on this beautiful Thursday in downtown Alton. Joining us now is a really cool conversation because as you guys saw in the news just actually, maybe a week or two ago, the NCBA World Series is coming to Lloyd Hopkins Field in May. How exciting is this, guys? Thank you so much for joining us. We have Sandy Sanderson and Eric
Curator.
Look at that. You're prepared already.
I've been waiting for this moment my whole life.
I love this. So take us through this. So the NCBA is a great opportunity for baseball lovers and just people that love sports in general to come watch some really great teams play America's pastime and compete for the World Series. Take us through just an overview of the tournament, what that entails, and why you guys chose Alton.
Well, a little bit about the NCBA. I mean, we're a 22-year-old organization designed for college club baseball players. So in case you don't know what club sports are, if you think about your big schools, University of Nebraska, Iowa, Big Ten, Ohio State, and whatnot, right? They've got those sports that you see on TV, but they also have these club level sports, which are student run, but they're still intercollegiate. So it's, when you're talking about, the number of students on campus, often there's kids that are pretty darn good ball players, that aren't on that varsity roster. This is that level for them. And a lot of people, what we've been able to do is create options. For example, I was not a Division I level baseball player coming out of high school. I was more Division II, but I wanted that engineering degree from Penn State. I could go to Penn State, still play the sport I love. I didn't have to sacrifice that education I wanted to go get just to keep playing baseball. I was able to do both at my school. So that's kind of what the league's about, and we've grown in the 22 years, from 34 teams to over 300 around the country. And, with the D2 World Series, our Division II, we've been able to grow to where we have Division I, Division II, Division III. Our Division II World Series coming here in May. What you're going to see is some great ball players. And, obviously the 8 best teams at that level around the country have qualified for this. It's not just invitational. Right. They've gone through conference play, conference championships, regional playoffs, and the 8 best get to come.
Yeah, and I think one of the biggest things, too, is these guys, they do it for the love of the game. They are not on scholarship. They are paying out of their pocket. Most of the times they're literally doing everything on their own. Fundraising, they're booking everything, all the day-to-day logistics, ordering uniforms, travel. It all falls on their shoulders. So they're doing it for the love of the game, and these guys just love the game. So they're going to respect it. They're going to be out there playing hard. Right. They're not out there to, they're not going to make it to the MLB. Well, we do have some. We'll get there eventually. Right. But, these guys are they're out there.
And that's a great point, because so many times, even with my experience in playing college soccer and doing the things I did, when you get to that level, you do see guys that kind of take things for granted because they're talented, and they're D1 with Notre Dame on the starting, playing starting third base. I was saying starting 11, but that's for soccer, and I'm a little bit ditzy here, But I wanted to ask you. To me, this is where it's going to get intense. We're going to see some really great ball players that, like you said, the passion to win, to me, is going to be even greater than somebody that kind of not gets things handed to it because you earn that scholarship for those D1 teams, but where you're kind of just used to having that hotel booked, you're used to having the jerseys there for you, and they're doing all this themselves?
All themselves, and they're driving their own cars, they're spending their own money, they're packing themselves into hotel rooms. Wow. They're not getting the luxuries of a Division I, Division II NCAA athlete, so everything falls back on them at the end of the day.
Well, and too, not only is this a win for baseball fans, but this is also a win for the community. I saw in the article in the press release that this is going to be a pretty good economic impact for the River Bend community, and this is a pretty big deal. Hotel rooms are going to be filling up, and we saw an estimated $400,000 for the River Bend community. That's fantastic. Has this been always this big of a tournament for every city you guys kind of go to? Yeah,
I'd say so. One of the nice things about Alton is they really value us. They really put a lot of resources into our event.
Yes.
As I was saying earlier, if we go to a big city, we're going to be a blip on their radar, and they're not really going to care about us. They're not going to roll out the red carpet for us. They're just going to say, hey, we're happy you're here, but, figure it out. One of the great things about Alton is, they care. They want us. They want us. They want us to stay here. They want us to come back every year. They want more of our events. They want all of the events, which is great. So they're going to put a lot of stock into, making sure our event is top notch, as it should be, because we owe that to our teams.
Absolutely. And take us through, do you guys have I'm sure you do, a criteria or a rubric when you're picking cities out, or kind of finding that landing spot for the World Series? Is there a certain level that you guys are looking at, or certain amenities that you guys need?
Well, there's certain things that are way higher in different categories than us. Like we love a turf field because as event organizers, weather issues, we've got teams coming in from both coasts.
Right.
A lot of people with flights. We kind of need to finish up on time, right? So
Just kinda.
a turf field,
Just kinda,
turf field really helps us stay on schedule
Right.
and not lose games days due to rain, things like that.
Keeps us sane.
Right, exactly. When you talk about this, we're a nationwide organization.
Right.
We're kind of in the middle of the country right here, right? So we're accessible both coasts. That's a big perk for our teams. Proximity to a major airport. St. Louis is only 30 minutes away. It's great.
Chicago's 4 hours in case they want to come up north. We're still close.
Okay, yeah, okay.
So if anybody wants to take a detour.
Yeah,
Windy
train
City,
ride
there you
never
go.
hurt nobody.
Exactly.
I got to ask you this, not to kind of shift any focus here, but you've had a chance to see these teams play, teams compete in these tournaments for a long time. How has the style of play kind of shifted? Because we always see the collegiate squad athlete teams that are on ESPN playing in the World Series for D1 sports or college sports, but to me this is kind of interesting to see how the dynamics of just talent shifted, because we're going to see some great players that kind of just missed out on that roster spot or that sponsorship spot. What have you kind of noticed over the course of the time period?
I think the number one thing you'll see here is that they leave everything on the field.
Yep.
Nobody is worrying about their draft status. Nobody's worrying about what's going to happen next year. Those seniors might not pick up a baseball again after this tournament ends. And we've seen it. We were talking about it on the car ride over here. We were talking about injuries we've witnessed, that this kid's just going full bore into a wall because they'll do everything they can to help their team get that out, get that win, and so forth. So it's really impressive the level of compete we get out of these kids every moment. Another thing I notice is, being that they're often student run and often player coached, it's a little wild, wild west style, you get a lot more aggressiveness, a lot more free swinging, just let me see how far I can hit it, steal a bag in inopportune times. It's really entertaining baseball.
Sometimes you throw some crap against the wall, sometimes it sticks.
Hey, that's my life motto. I'm thinking I'm going to be fitting in just fine with this tournament. Well, I got to ask you, how has the organization grown, structurally and just with the number of people that are helping you guys and organizing some staff, teams? How has that kind of evolved since you guys started?
Well, it started with me as just a volunteer, really. 22 years ago, 34 teams. I had a full-time job, and this was just a side project. And it escalated so quickly that within 2 years, I had to quit that full-time job, or at least take a big step back, to make it a part-time job so that I could focus more on growing this organization. In the 22 years, we've expanded beyond baseball. We've grown to over 300 baseball teams, but we're over 150 softball teams, over 200 basketball teams, and we even have tackle football as well. So,
that's incredible. And has that always been your focus, to incorporate all sports, or was that something that kind of came along down the way?
It was just, it came along down the way. What happened, I remember, University of Michigan, their club baseball team went to a meeting, and their club softball team saw them come in with all this matching swag, looking decked out like a varsity team. Right. And the softball team said, hey, where'd you guys get all this? Like, our league has a sponsor. Like, you have a league? They picked up the phone, called me, hey, will you start us a softball league? Did some research. Yeah, we'll start you a softball league. Boom. And then same thing happened with football. Then the basketball, there was another group doing basketball already, and some people came to us and said, we like your model versus how they're doing their model. Will you do basketball? And we did the research, determined it's feasible for us to pull that off, and boom, it's been a great success and just growing.
Yeah, and I don't want to get you to spill any secrets, even though I would love to be able to do so, because you got a league that's worth a lot to just in knowledge to kind of hear how you set it up, the structure. What's kind of been your biggest, something you kind of take with pride, when it comes to the organization? Is it something that you did structurally? Is it something that you did with just your, your beliefs, your passions, your team? What's that one kind of thing that you pride yourself over everything else?
Oh, go ahead.
You first.
I think obviously you're going to have a much better answer than me just because you've been here from the ground level up. But, one of the biggest things that I will never get old to me, when running these events, I get these parents or these kids that come up to me and go, I thought my career was over. My high school game, I thought it was over. I was going to, Penn State. I was going somewhere where I wasn't planning on playing baseball, but I just wanted to go there just to go there for academics or for whatever reason. But, I learned about the club baseball team. And then 4 years later, I had a hell of experience. 20 to 25 new best friends, great experience on the field. And here I am. So I just wanted to say thank you. And, those moments really mean a lot.
Give you the goosebumps, huh?
Yeah,
Hear
those mean a lot. So
one of the things I'm most proud of is that we've maintained it as a student-run organization. Those kids, I learned it when I was in school. When I was at college, I was taking engineering classes, but I was also managing a team of 30 kids, some of which were older than me, some younger, some were my roommates, and, there were life lessons learned through that process, how to manage my time, how to manage money, create a budget and stick to it, how to manage personnel and different personalities. A lot of professional growth things happen through that student-run process. I love the fact that we still hold on to that. So many kids have come through this league as officers, and you see them now. They're the ones that are real passionate about baseball. We've got guys that are like heads of scouting for Major League Baseball teams. Or
are you serious?
The assistant GM of the Pirates is a former club baseball player at Northwestern.
Wow.
These guys have moved on to different positions because they love the game and they've professionally developed through their experience as officers. I've had so many kids come to me and say, hey, I sat down for my LSAT interviews, right?
Right.
And they're like, all they wanted to talk about was club baseball. And what I did as the president of the club baseball, and like, we didn't even talk about law. We talked about booking hotel rooms to go to Georgia and things like that. And
how to raise money and all this stuff.
And how the professionals and job interviews, that's what they want to talk about because those are skills they learned outside the classroom, outside the degree. It was almost like extra credit that they had earned in college by having this. It's almost an internship while running their team. I
had no idea. I mean, because when I saw the press, I did some research on you, but I didn't see the career path and the trajectory of some of your guys' affiliates, whether it's players or people that moved on through the ranks. I mean, that's got to feel good to be able to kind of look back through the context and go, wow, let me go text the scout for the Pirates or the assistant general manager used to say for the Pirates or Padres. Is that what you
Pirates?
said?
Pirates.
That's incredible. And I mean, has that kind of grown, or has that kind of trend become more and more frequent as time's gone by, or is it kind of went through a period where at first, people were getting that look to move on to the next level in a different capacity other than a player, or has this kind of been consistent?
I gotta think it's gotten better over time, right? I think club sports as a whole has gotten more and more serious. The organization behind the scenes stuff is gravitated over the years to, you have your hand in way more cookie jars than you did before with all the things you have to be responsible for, all the things you got to be on top of, the responsibilities and the values that you have to do to be a successful student officer translates to the real world. So I think it's just gotten better over time.
Absolutely.
And let me circle back here because I'm keeping you longer than I said I would, but this is awesome. I mean, you guys, this is an impressive organization. I'm so glad to learn more about this. Take us through the World Series coming into town in May. What are we going to see? What, ins and outs when we take the kids, line up the families and go watch some good baseball? What's the festivities? Just some good baseball, concessions, I'm assuming, and just, that old-time feel?
Yeah, I think you're going to get 8 great baseball teams, 8 teams from around the country. Like Sandy said earlier, they are going to be conference champs and regional champs, so they've earned their way here. So 8 of the best teams in the country, 8 of the top 122 in Division II. And you're going to see some great baseball. Like we've been saying before, they're going to leave it all out in the field.
Not to cut you up, how long is your guys' season from start to World Series? Is it about 6-7 months? Or
It's basically the same timeline as NCAA.
Okay, gotcha.
Some schools play in the fall if they're in bad weather areas, we call them, because usually they can't touch a field until March or so in the spring.
Yeah.
Basically the same timeline.
Yeah, good luck playing outside in Michigan, right now.
Right, exactly.
And what would you kind of preview for the people of Alton that are new to this? What's your kind of not an elevator pitch, but just what's happening out there?
Oh, come check it out. It's going to be a very family-friendly environment. I mean, ticket prices aren't going to gouge you. I'm sure Dallas and his concessions aren't going to be too bad either. I hear the hot dogs are good over there, right?
Yeah.
But you're going to have access to players. We see the little kids bring the little league team out. Get some autographs from the kids. Get to meet some of these players. Understand that this could be your future. Everybody wants to be the first round draft pick or get the full ride to college. The reality, that's a very rare occurrence. But this is a very achievable level that people can strive for to achieve one day with their baseball careers.
Absolutely. Sorry. No.
I was going to say, just as fun as it's going to be for you guys to come out to see the games, it's going to be that much more fun for the guys to have them there. It's going to be a big-time experience for them, and they're going to eat it up. as much as you guys are.
Oh my God, without a doubt. And I could just imagine, because I know some players that are in that kind of realm where, they're still in college, but that, competitive level of D1 really isn't for, them, or they're not what the team needs at that point in time. And they've been utilizing this, type of thing, whether it's, club soccer, club baseball, and it's really kind of changed their life and made them, feel important about the sport again, because we kind of need that. We need that driving force sometimes.
Oh, absolutely.
I want to two more questions for you before I let you go. I heard a little bit about the Division I World Series, and maybe in the next couple of years, is Alton kind of a spot on your guys' map for this?
Absolutely. Our eyes got really opened up in the last couple of months. Big thanks to Dallas Smarts with the River Dragons over here. We're loving the opportunity. We're learning more and more about it every day, and it's something we take very seriously.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Sorry.
And there's that's part of the reason we're in town, not just to publicize the D2, but to take a real hard look at the facilities and so forth to determine if we can make it work for the Division I as well.
Absolutely. And one last question for you before I let you go, and that's just, to me, this wouldn't really be possible without a lot of the work from Dallas and the River Dragons. How is the impact of, do you think, the River Dragons been for making this decision to kind of make the jump to Alton for this spring classic?
Instrumental. I mean,
okay.
Absolutely. I guess that's the word to say, is instrumental. Everything from not only putting it on our radar, but to providing us anything we need, the resources we need, any information we could possibly need to have to make decisions and, really make this event the way it should be and the way the teams deserve it to be. So,
absolutely.
And, we're based out of Pittsburgh, PA, so we're not boots on the ground all the time here in town. So we need a local advocate that's going to help us, spread the word. With D2 already locked in for the next 2 years and potential for longer, it's not like we're definitely leaving after 2 years.
Right.
We'll go back to the drawing board and see if that makes sense to extend it after that. But, having those people local that can help promote us, put us in touch with the right people to, get the word out like we are right now.
Right.
To make this an environment where, the locals might want to come out. You got a name? Are they the Altonians?
Look at that. That's impressive.
There we go. First guess. The Altonians.
Impressive.
So we need help. Let's get the Altonians out to the ballpark, see what it has to offer, and let's make this thing like an 8-year deal. After 2 years, we'll go with the 8-year extension. We'll just make that happen.
Hot
Can I get
damn.
a signature real quick?
I like the sound of this. And
There we go.
really, I didn't mean to kind of throw that in as a softball question, but I really wanted to make sure we got that out there because, the River Dragons are a great baseball team, but for them to be able to provide us with some economic, impact, with this baseball tournament and bringing in a really respectable organization like you guys is definitely a huge treat to all of us. Anything else I'm forgetting?
No, just thanks for having us. This is it's been fantastic.
Absolutely. We can't tell you who the 8 teams are coming yet. We won't know that till 2 weeks, first week of May. But anybody that's following clubbaseball.org, there's our website. You can, on the top right corner, you can click on the division go to the Division II side, and you can track all season long who's winning their conference, who's going on the regional playoffs, and all kinds of announcements there, and follow us on social media there and get all kinds of updates as we get closer to those final 8 teams being determined who are going to be coming.
Yep.
Before I wrap this up, every time I do this to myself, because I'm a pro wrestler now, travel the circuit, so whenever somebody says, I know, you look at me and go, right, okay.
Didn't have that on my
Come on,
board.
you're looking behind me and go, but it's so funny because whenever you say we don't know who's going to win yet, I almost whisper behind you, are you sure we don't know who's going to win? I realize, oh wait, it's a real sport, it's not pro wrestling. Eric, Sandy, thank you so much for your time, guys. Anytime you want to come back before the start of it or even during, well, I'd love to have you.
All right, sounds great.
Thank you.
We'll come back with more of our daily show at Linda Smith, Circle K. They revamped it. We'll find out how after this.